This is the latest installment of our weekly immersion into the world of Cole Porter, which we uh, call Porter-Pedia.
That's right.
Today, we're not just looking at the hits. We're going deeper.
Oh.
We're trying to understand the raw materials, the sources that form the unique style of the man.
The man who's widely regarded as maybe the most sophisticated songwriter of the 20th century.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack that. How did he build that reputation?
Well, he didn't invent sophistication out of thin air. Porter was, I think, a brilliant synthesizer. He took the strict discipline of classical European training,
Okay.
the decadent style of the Parisian expatriate set,
Mhm.
and the vibrant energy of American jazz. He fused them all together. And just as importantly, he was actively rejecting the norms of Tin Pan Alley.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. We always talk about the polish, but the foundation was, well, it was incredibly serious.
It was.
We're talking formal music training, violin at 6 years old, piano at 8. He approached music less like a songwriter looking for a quick hit.
Right, more like an architect.
Yes, an architect with a blueprint.
Exactly. And that early discipline, that intensity, it's the absolute prerequisite for the harmonic richness we hear later on. He wasn't just trained, he was ambitious. And the single most critical theatrical influence from his youth.
Gilbert and Sullivan.
Gilbert and Sullivan, absolutely. I mean, by age 10, he'd already composed his own operetta, and he modeled it explicitly in the style of Gilbert and Sullivan.
At 10 years old, that's incredible. And G&S really defined that marriage of tight musical structure and just incredible lyrical wit.
They perfected the rhyming patter song. They gave him the blueprint for discipline and humor working hand in hand. You can see it in his first real shot at Broadway, See America First in 1916.
Which didn't go so well.
No, but critics immediately described it as a parody, a comic operetta parody. They noted its long and complicated rhyme effects. It had that Gilbertian feel.
So it was structurally sound, but maybe a little too much of a copy.
Too-mannered. Exactly, a pastiche. It flopped hard. 2 weeks on Broadway is a painful start.
Ouch. But it does solidify his debt to G&S. He kept that love for complicated rhyme, for that formal discipline, but he had to learn how to modernize it.
Absolutely. The structure stayed, but the tone had to shift from parody to genuine wit. It's like his publisher later said, for Porter, the music and lyrics would spring from his fertile genius hand in hand.
Which is the ultimate G&S inheritance, that seamless unity.
It is.
Speaking of modernizing, that failure in 1916 actually leads us to the real game changer in his life, the move to Europe.
This is where the legend was forged.
He relocates to Paris, to Venice, and just dives into that cosmopolitan expatriate set. This wasn't a vacation.
No, this was finishing school for his art. Paris and Venice in the 20s, they were magnets for high society, for bohemian artists. And that environment, the late-night salons, the multilingual culture, that elegant decadence, it injected urban sophistication right into his bloodstream.
You can't imagine the mature Cole Porter without that period.
Impossible. He wasn't just, drinking champagne. He was absorbing the continental sound. He'd host these parties where giants like Ravel and Stravinsky would perform.
So he's soaking up European chanson traditions.
Yeah.
That sophisticated, sort of melancholic style.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And that worldliness, it just permeates his melodies. It informed his themes, cosmopolitan love, luxury, but also his melodic, his harmonic, and his rhythmic sensibilities. He was aiming for a glamorous global sound.
And you can really hear those foreign musical traditions in his classics.
You can.
There's a famous story that Night and Day was inspired by a chant heard in Morocco. Now, whether that's true or just good PR.
It doesn't matter, because the song sounds distinct. And it's not just the theme. Look at the structure. Most Tin Pan Alley songs followed that predictable 32-bar A-B-A structure. You could set your watch by it.
Right.
But Night and Day is this sweeping 48 bars. It has this noticeable chromatic tension. It's like an architectural marvel in a neighborhood full of simple cottages.
So for someone listening who, isn't a music theorist, when you say chromatic tension, what are we actually hearing? What does that sound like?
It sounds like drama, tension, movement. Chromaticism is just using notes outside the basic scale, the sharps and flats that make the harmony shift in unexpected ways.
Ah, okay.
It makes the music feel richer, more complex. It often gives it a minor key or kind of exotic flavor. It delays the resolution, which creates that sophisticated, languid, romantic yearning we all associate with Porter.
And nothing embodies that languid elegance more than Begin the Bookwain.
Precisely. Begin the Beguine is the ultimate rejection of the standard pop song format of that time. It runs for a stunning 108 measures.
108, that's huge.
It's massive. That extended, sweeping melody, it wasn't for a quick 2-minute dance. It required you to settle in. It completely defied the snappy commercial expectations of Broadway.
So his life in Europe gave him the audacity to reject those American norms and bring in this global soundscape?
Exactly. He broadened the emotional scope of the American popular song.
But the next step is maybe the most impressive part. He didn't just stay in that European operetta bubble. This is where the genius comes in.
The fusion.
He fully embraces American popular song, the new jazz idiom, and proves that pop music could also be high art.
And that fusion is his lasting legacy. Now, to understand his role here, you have to contrast him with his peers. Most songwriters worked in partnerships, a composer and a lyricist.
But Porter wrote both.
Almost always, which gave him total control. A singular unity of voice where the rhythm of the language perfectly matches the rhythm of the melody.
So when he started adapting to jazz, it wasn't just an afterthought.
Not at all. He was composing with a jazzy sensibility from the ground up, but using his classical skills. Take a song like I've Got You Under My Skin. Jazz musicians love it.
Why is that?
Because his classical background gave him this rich harmonic color, these chord changes, those chromatic twists and modulations we talked about, they make the song endlessly interesting to improvise over. He brought the complexity of serious composition right to the dance floor. Songs like Let's Do It or It's Da Lovely, they swing so perfectly.
Because he integrated that jazz-inspired syncopation, but they hold together harmonically because, well, they were written by a disciplined composer. And this all comes together perfectly in his famous Liszt songs.
The Liszt songs are the perfect synthesis of everything we've talked about.
They are.
Let's focus on You're the Top.
Magnificent. You have the GNS-style patter, those sophisticated internal rhymes, the fast tempo, but it's applied to modern jazzy content. He's listing high culture references.
The Louvre, the Colosseum, a Strauss symphony.
And then in the next breath, he's dropping in contemporary pop culture references that were huge at the time.
So he's creating this witty, high-low cultural map.
It's urbane elegance mixed with colloquial humor. He's telling the listener, yes, this is sophisticated, but we're also having fun. He proved you could be deeply intellectual and commercially popular at the same time.
But the Porter identity wasn't just defined by what he absorbed. It was just as much about what he rejected. Oh, absolutely. He consciously moved away from the simplistic, safe norms of his era, and that often got him into trouble.
That's what gives his work its edge, isn't it? That willingness to reject the status quo.
It is. And we can see 3 specific rejections that really define his mature voice.
Let's get into the scandal then.
First, he rejected saccharine romantic sentimentality. He was preferred subtlety, innuendo, adult themes, while his contemporaries were writing about wide-eyed, innocent love.
Puppy love.
Exactly. Porter was writing about desire, ambiguity, the cynical realities of relationships. He wrote for the worldly, not the naive.
He's writing about love after midnight.
Precisely. Second, he rejected formulaic themes, especially the mawkish sentiments of Tin Pan Alley.
Which was basically the commercial hit-making machine of the day.
The machine, right. Focused on simple, repetitive, easily marketable tunes. He famously called his own style the tin pan antithesis of melody.
The tin pan antithesis. That phrase alone tells you everything about his intent.
It does. And third, and most importantly, he embraced provocation and satire. His lyrics were often risque. They actively satirized the social hypocrisy he saw all around him, and the moralists of the time were furious.
The prime example has to be Love for Sale.
Love for Sale from 1930. A stunning piece of provocation. The song is voiced by a streetwalker advertising her services. Love for sale, old love, new love, true love. It was so daring, so explicit.
I mean, it's confronting taboo sexuality and commerce head on.
And it was instantly banned from major radio networks. That commitment to sharp critique, to confronting taboos, it just sets him leagues apart. He wasn't afraid of the worldly, complicated nature of his audience.
No, he thrived on it.
And that lets us connect all the dots. We can see how his mature work is this ultimate convergence of the 3 worlds. Classical discipline, European elegance, and jazzy modernity. All of it tempered by his commitment to adult satire.
You can see that synthesis running at a full throttle in anything. Goes from 1934.
It's the perfect showcase. The show has the full range. You get the GNSS patter song and You're the Top. You get the rich jazzy standard and I Get a Kick Out of You.
And the dramatic almost operatic structure in Blow, Gabriel Blow.
Yes, and the title song itself is just a brilliant satire of the moral laxity of the era.
And then by 1948, he gives us the masterpiece, Kiss Me, Kate.
Arguably his most complete, sophisticated achievement. He's blending theater within theater, which goes right back to his operetta roots, with contemporary rhythms and completely modern, often acerbic lyrics. The whole skill set had fully converged.
So what does this all mean for us today, listening to these brilliant songs? Porter didn't just write great tunes. He redefined the American song by building a bridge between worlds that seemed totally separate before.
That's the absolute core takeaway. His genius was in subverting expectations. He used deep structural sophistication to make popular music more complex, more witty, and infinitely more enduring.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over as you listen next time.
That distinctive, sophisticated flavor of his comes so heavily from his use of chromaticism and what critics called unmistakably Mediterranean minor key or exotic tonal colors.
That shift in color, that complexity we talked about earlier, that's what defines him.
It is. So challenge yourself. Go back and listen to a piece like Night and Day or In the Still of the Night. Listen specifically for those chromatic shifts, those unexpected chords that don't quite resolve when you think they should.
That's what makes the music feel.
What?
Simultaneously foreign and utterly modern.
Foreign, dramatically tense, and yet completely perfectly modern.
A perfect way to look for the structural sophistication underneath all that lyrical sparkle. That was a truly deep dive into the foundational influences that built the genius of Cole Porter.
And another chapter closed in Porter-Pedia.
Indeed. We thank you for tuning into the Deep Dive. Keep exploring Cole Porter's incredibly synthesized and sophisticated catalog, and we'll catch you next time.